Lit RPG is a subgenre of fantasy, and it truly does not get the hype it deserves. In today's video, we're going to be discussing 10 of some of the best authors in the genre and giving you reasons why you should check them on out. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about 10 of some of the best lit RPG authors out there, and it is in no particular order. So if one of these authors' works strikes you, or you find some interest in it, or you just want to go back and reread some of your favorites, then be my guest. Coming up at number 10, we have Eric Ueggeland, who is the author of the series The Good Guys and its sister series, The Bad Guys. Now, these are pretty decently long, to be quite candid. I think The Good Guys is up to 13, 14, 15 books, and the sister series, The Bad Guys, is 8, 9, or 10. And they are really, really great. It really does a phenomenal job about blending lit RPG with traditional fantasy, and you get that through its main characters, where Montana in The Good Guys and Clyde in The Bad Guys are whisked away to try their best to fight for a new life at the entertainment of those watching them. Now, it's pretty interesting how the defining features of both the series is The Good Guys and The Bad Guys, because looking between Montana and Clyde, you see a lot of parallels. They both on Earth were not the most respected men of their community, and they are basically given a second chance when they run out of options. And thankfully, at the very least, even though they are in this new world trying their best to fight for their community, fight for what's right, they're not afraid to knock some skulls together. And you get to see that even though they were bad guys on Earth, that they both have this moral compass that they're sticking to, which is why I really appreciated both of these series and Eric Ueggeland as an author. Coming up at number 9, we have Michael Chatfield, the author of the series The 10 Realms. This one I was a huge fan of. I really enjoyed it. Another isekai. I think we can all agree here, isekai is the easiest ways for authors to impart a lit RPG element, the system in this case. And similar to our last author, we have two gentlemen who, though they may not have been on the bad side of society, they definitely know how to crack some skulls together. Our main characters, Eric West and Rugrat, aka Jimmy Rodriguez, are two ex-vets who get the 2-week curse. Once someone gets this curse in 2 weeks, they have the ability to utilize some magic, but after that they just vanish from Earth. And they find out that they are transported to a whole new world, and these gentlemen were prepared, they were kitted out, and they are probably the best Earth has to offer when it comes to representing its strength. And they do not go quietly into the night. No, they tried their best to make their way up the 10 realms and find a way to protect the communities that they have gathered around them. So, in all honesty, Chatfield was a phenomenal writer. The series may be misleading. It's a 12-book series, and it is completed. So if you have some interest in seeing a realistic adaptation of what some Army vets could do in a whole new world if they came equipped, then this is the series for you. Number 8, our next author shout out is going to be Zogarth. This is an alias, I assume. I can't imagine anyone naming their child Zogarth. It's an awesome name, don't get me wrong, but a little unconventional. And they are best known for their series Primal Hunter. And one of my favorite lit RPGs. I think this one is going down as one of the top 3 for me, at the very least. It's got some contenders, as we all know, but Primal Hunter is such a good series that sticks so closely to the tropes that makes lit RPG a phenomenal subgenre. Our main character, Jake, is a regular old office worker who's kind of in a rut in his life until the system comes along, and he, as well as a few of his coworkers, are thrown into a tutorial ground. There, they try their best to survive, and this is where Jake actually finds out that his mundane life has been keeping him back this whole time, and he has to let the hunter out. That is not an expression, that is quite literally what happens in this case, and he decides that he is not going to be kept back by societal norms that were present upon Earth. He's going to do his best to hunt the biggest game out there, make some pals with a few gods along the way, and not be thrown aside by anyone. He is going to make his mark on the multiverse as a whole. Phenomenal execution for some of the basic tropes in LitRPG. The writing itself is very easy to digest, so those who are interested in trying LitRPG out, this is a great series to bite your teeth into, to really understand the genre as a whole. Next up, we have one of the most popular authors out there, known for their very, very well-renowned series, Dungeon Crawler Carl, and that author's name is Matt Dinniman. Matt is so dang funny, and his world building, if you can call it that, is so interesting as well. He's taken this gentleman named Carl, of course, and thrown him into a situation where Earth, similar to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, has been sold off, and they are now participating in a game show almost. But this game show throws the remaining Earthlings into a few dungeons across the landscape, and they have to fight for their survival, traveling down floor by floor so they can ideally get a way to freedom. Matt Dinniman's writing style, like I said, is hilarious, but it is dark. And those two contrasting features really do give its own tone to the series as a whole. You get to see this normal guy named Carl make hard decision after hard decision with his ex-girlfriend's cat alongside him, and that turns him into this morally ambiguous man trying his best to make the system that has put him into the situation crumble and fall to the wayside. And if anyone can do it, it is our main man, Carl. So if you have not checked this series out or any other series by Matt Dinniman, I highly recommend you give them a shot. It is going to be, like I mentioned, very dark, very satirical, but also you're gonna laugh along the way. So definitely one that has its own tone that I don't think really anyone out there can copy. Number 6 on this list is going to be Travis Deverell, aka Shirtaloon. And this is the man, the myth, the legend who pens to paper, he who fights with monsters. Again, another pillar of the LitRPG genre. Oh my goodness, where do I start with this one? It is about our main character, Jason Asano, who is a regular old Aussie, and he's, like many others in the genre, just trying his best to get through a mundane life until a gas leak takes him away from Earth and shoots him across the stars to inhabit his own body in a new realm. And this realm, again, has monsters, it has cultists, it has friends and family that he makes along the way, but he does his best to try not to be swallowed down by the political intrigue, by the gold rank, the diamond ranked adventurers who want a piece of him, whether that be his wits, his power, or his outdated 80s style jokes. My goodness, I have a lot of appreciation for Jason, and this one is not for the faint of heart. Not to say it's very dark, it's not, but some people actually don't really vibe with the main character, whether that be his edgelord kind of persona that he obtains after book 3 and 4, whether that be his outdated 80s references, but for me, I am a huge fan of the man, and after the shakeup in the latest book, we have a lot to atone for, and Jason has made quite a few enemies above his pay grade. So we're going to find out how everything works out. If you're looking for a fun, lighthearted LitRPG with a lot of action and a lot going on above the scenes, this is the series for you, and highly, highly recommend Shirtaloon as an author. Number 5 on this list is going to be Chu Gong, the author of the very popular TV show that just came out, Solo Leveling. This was a web novel series initially, and it took the hearts of many people and actually introduced them to the genre LitRPG. The main series he's known for, Solo Leveling, follows Jingwu Song, who is a E-rank adventurer. And in this world, yes, there are portals, there are gates that inhabit monsters in them, and if they are not cleared, the monsters flood into the cities around the Earth. And once you have a power level that you are born into, aka an E-rank adventurer, D, B, C, A, all the letters above that, you are stuck at that level and you cannot progress until a fated encounter with our main character allows him the ability to access his potential. This one is a culture shock for those who have not read a lot of Eastern novels out there, but at the same time, it is phenomenal. I was extremely saddened when the series wrapped up, even though they did it beautifully after book 8. For those out there interested in checking this series out, Chu Gong is a phenomenal author, and I'm looking forward to trying out some of his other works once they become translated to English. So highly recommend this one. If you haven't checked the show out, Solo Leveling, it's a phenomenal anime. Highly recommend that as well. Number 4 on this list is going to be the author Norrit Flood, another pseudonym who is best known for his work, Legend of Randedly Ghost Hound. This series is a great one as well. This is not an isekai, mainly. It's not an isekai. Yeah, we'll stick with that. So it does break from a lot of the initial tropes that a lot of LitRPG genre books fall into. Not to say that's a bad thing at all, because our main character, Randedly Ghost Hound, a young man in college, mundane life, doesn't really have a lot of ambition, finds his way to a dungeon where he gains a lot of power, a mentor, and a purpose. Our main character, Randedly, goes a little bit of a different direction that a lot of our main characters go, and he picks up the spear and is on his way to defend Earth from the cataclysms that haunts its future. And he's able to get a peek into what that future entails by helping his mentor out that he meets in the dungeon fix his problems on his own world. So yes, he's hopping between world from world eventually. Yes, that's a spoiler, you'll just have to indulge me there. But at the same time, even with that information, you're not going to obtain the knowledge of how dang good this book is without me informing you. At least I hope so. I was a big fan of this series. Randedly is an interesting main character because he's pretty cold and difficult to warm up to as you're reading the series, and where character development comes on in for a lot of other series to make the main character, you know, more personable or more charismatic. That does not happen here. So he can definitely speak to a lot of people out there who are looking for kind of a difference when it comes to their MCs. I think the author Norrit Flood gave Randedly his own trajectory in book 1 and decided he's just gonna have to do what he needs to do, make the hard decisions as they come across, and you cannot crumble or compromise in the slightest, and the author makes sure he does not. So if you're looking for a main character who's different from a lot of the other ones you see out there, then this is the series for you. Coming in at number 3 for this author shout out is going to be Jacob H. Greif, who is mainly known for his series Apocalypse Redux. At least that's what I know him for. And this series breaks from a lot of the main tropes of the genre, not doing a straight up isekai, but really just a time loop back in time with our main character, Isaac Toma. This is a man who did his best to fight for humanity, but in the end, humanity has crumbled and he is the last survivor. Yes, this German dude who started his life out like anyone else has fought to the last man, and he's given an opportunity. He's allowed to go back in time because certain conditions were met by the gods, to inhabit his younger self and try his best to steer the ship a little bit better than it went around the first time. Now, I am a big fan of Isaac Toma. He's cutthroat, but at the same time, he's not as edgy as you see a lot of these other main characters out there who go through these terrible tragedies, which is understandable at the end of the day. It's a terrible tragedy, humanity passing away. But he's still able to utilize his knowledge of the future to try his best to make sure humanity gets a better footing when all these new summons come to crash Earth's survivability. So Isaac Toma does the very interesting thing that a lot of main characters don't do out there, and he decides to become a scientist in his younger body to try his best to help humanity understand the problem sooner rather than later. And it's very interesting how the author is able to go about this to really break down his magic system when it comes to summoning, because they're able to look at it in a very clinical, scientific manner. And this writing style really gave Jacob H. Greif his own kind of style, his own tone that we don't see from a lot of other authors out there. So if you're looking for a magic system that's interesting, but it's also broken down into detail, day by day, discovery by discovery, as Isaac is holding the hands of his fellow scientists, you're going to get that. But also in the later books, you're going to get almost a noir mystery in the second book. You're going to get intense battle scenes in book 4, book 5, and you're going to get the ability to see a lot of old myths and old legends get a new spin on themselves. So if you're looking for something a little bit off the beaten path, I highly recommend Jacob H. Greif and Apocalypse Redux specifically. Coming in at number 2, we have Kyle Kieran, the author who is best known for his series The Ripple System. This one, Mr. Kieran decides to pick the third door when it comes to the main tropes of LitRPG, and he decided to make the new world with the system a video game. In this, our main character Ned, the very rich son of a newly deceased billionaire or millionaire, whatever it may be, is tired of life. He is tired of the mundanity, the social norms he has to be expected to follow, and he's looking for something new, something magical, something fantastical, and he finds that in the Ripple System, a new video game that is hitting the market. And he does something that isn't very well received by the community who's been looking forward to this video game, and he buys all the beta testing slots so that he himself, he does not share, can get an advantage. So not a very well-respected move like I mentioned, but he doesn't care because he's going all in on this video game. He is never coming out, at least he doesn't think so. So he's going into the VR pod or whatever you may have, and he's going to basically live the rest of his life, if he can try not to help it, in this video game. This is a really interesting series that you get to see the LitRPG genre at a very low stakes way to look at it. Kyle Kieran decided, instead of having, worlds being destroyed here or a main character fighting for his way of life, he is going to have a main character doing his best to gain fame and fortune in a video game. And again, when you're reading it, the stakes seem pretty intense, but when you're really thinking about it at the end of the day, this doesn't really matter. At least not to anyone who would be walking around Earth. So I thought this was a really interesting writing style. I'm a big fan of the series as a whole, even though it is so low stakes. The main character definitely grows on you, and highly recommend this author at the end of the day. And number 1 on this list, I will mention there was no particular order, but I just decided, we all know, so might as well. We have Pirate Abba, the author of The Wandering Inn. This author is probably the most well-respected one in the genre as a whole, if not by her world building, definitely by her word count. The Wandering Inn is the longest web novel to ever be written, and it is still going, and it is going at a furious pace. Pirate Abba, I think, on average writes, if not 10,000 words a day, up to 20,000 words a day, and the series is just being thrown out, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. I know a lot of the community out there already knows how great this one is, but if you've not checked this series out, you need to, because it follows many characters, but our main character, Erin Solstice, is a regular girl with a penchant for playing chess who is isekai'd away to a new world where she finds an abandoned inn. She decides to take care of it and gains a few levels along the way. And you think, okay, this is going to be a slice of life series. And though you are right, it goes so much deeper than that. Pirate Abba's ability for world building is truly impeccable. And you get that through the lore of this new world. You get that through the different magic systems that people have ability to access. You get that through the political intrigue and tensions between not just different countries, but different continents. And the races, the species, everyone has a backstory, and they're all built out beautifully. And the ironic thing about Pirate Abba and The Wandering Inn is it's barely LitRPG. You know, the main characters or characters that you see throughout the series might do a heroic action or put some elbow grease into obtaining some experience for their class, but you only find that out right before they're going to bed, where they might gain a level and a new ability. You get very little interaction with the system overseeing this world. Even though it's barely LitRPG, we are so thankful it is, because we get to hold this series up as our gem to everybody else. So if you have not tried this one out yet, it's not for the faint of heart, but it's definitely one you need to put on your list. And for those of you who have, feel free to jump in the comments and tell everyone why it is one of the greats. With that said, I do appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to shout out a few of the phenomenal authors, the wonderful authors, the impeccable authors that we have in the LitRPG genre, because they don't get the recognition they deserve. A lot of people, myself included, will discuss the series, which I kind of did in this video, but I wanted to specifically highlight them as writers. So I hope I did that here. With that said, I hope everyone has a phenomenal rest of your week, and be sure to keep reading.